Hi and welcome to my video. Today I'm showing you some of my favorite finishing techniques that I like to do on my cards. What I've done on the front of the card, I'll flip it over in a second, but I've sewn a straight stitch, and right now I've pulled my threads through and tied little knots. This way they stay secure and they don't become unraveled once you send them through the mail. And I just apply a little glue stick to the back and just kind of press those little threads down. And they should stay. Oop, one poked out. That's okay. So that's the front of the card. And this is a little foam square that I got in a little purse, and it's kind of like a air bubbly type foam thing. And I'm just using my poke tool right now to poke the holes through the buttons so I can sew them really easily. So right now I'm running my thread through. By poking the holes first, I don't have to try to jam the needle through or use a thimble or anything like that. So it just kind of gives me an easy guide to sew my buttons. And I've affixed them just with some regular adhesive just to hold them in place. When I get to the end, I tie a knot, and I usually do a couple overhand knots just to secure the ends in place. And just trim the ends up. And again, I'll use my glue stick and just kind of press those down. Push them down with your finger, and that's my sewn buttons. Next, I'm going to talk to you about ribbon and bows. I get a lot of requests, and I just kind of wanted to show you some of the different ribbons. First, we have like a gingham. It's a nice thin ribbon, and then there's a grosgrain, which is a little heavier, thicker ribbon. The gingham is really easy to work with, and you can just go ahead and tie a bow in the air, and then you can just kind of rearrange the loops and the ends however you want them. The knot stays nice and small because the ribbon is a little thinner. So go ahead and pull that tight and just kind of rework it. I think once you rework it and you rearrange, it ends up looking much better. So I'll put that right there in a little bit. This is a silk ribbon, which is really nice and thin as well, and it leaves a really small knot. If you're going to send something through the mail, this is the ideal type of ribbon. And there's also like a binding edging type ribbon that you can get. It's seam binding, and it's about the same thickness as the silk. Quite inexpensive. Martha Stewart also makes a nice ribbon for this. For this one, I'm going to tie a double bow, and I'm going to use my little foam thingy, whatever you call it, foam square. And I have some crochet thread. I'll just snip that off. And what I'll do is I'll put the bow on top of the crochet thread, and I'm going to just kind of pin this in place. That way I don't have to worry about things moving around while I'm tying my knot. So now I'm going to take the grosgrain and just kind of make a loop. And this is ideal for if you have a printed ribbon that's printed on one side. A lot of them are. You can make a loop like this, and then you can get the bow to where all the printed matter's on the outside. So what I'll do now is I'm just going to tie a knot, and this is where, if anyone's around, you can say put your finger here, because this gets a little awkward, but having it pinned down like this, I have everything held in place. Just put my middle finger there and then try to tie another little knot. Now you can kind of see it coming together. Another signature style of mine is to put a button in the center. So what I'm going to do with my leftover string is just go ahead and thread it through the buttonholes. It's pretty simple, and then just tie a knot. And when I'm going to put it down on the card, I just go ahead and put a glue dot and just kind of put it down. I usually add a couple just to make sure it's secure. And now you can just go ahead and fluff up your ends and your loops and rearrange however you want it. And just snip your ends. I usually cut my ends at an angle, or else I'll go ahead and do a triangle cut towards the inside of the ribbon and just pull that other thread around and just give that a snip. And this is a button that I've threaded some embroidery floss through, and then I just put a foam square on the back. Gives it a finished look, and then raising it up makes it look much better. So now I'm just adding a glue dot down, and I'm going to put my gingham bow in place. I'll fluff that up and turn it however I want. And then I'll clip the ends. I'll clean up the ends of this edge here. And clean up my mess. Here's my two cards. For the little flowers on my purple card, what I've done is I've stamped onto these pieces of paper, cut out or punched out some circles and raised them up, and then I did little pie wedge shapes out of them, and that creates my little flowers. Well, thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed and learned how to make some bows.